everyone. I have a couple of news stories that I need to bring up in this video. One story that involves the New Jersey state budget. The other two come from Delaware. There is news regarding the tax breaks for the casinos down in Delaware, and more importantly, another story that went under the radar about the legalization of marijuana. If anybody is asking me about information regarding the Delaware state budget, I covered it on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when I was in Maryland. I definitely remember covering it before I came back up here to my New York studio. So yes, three things. We're going to talk about New Jersey state budget, we're going to talk about Delaware tax breaks for the casinos, and we're going to talk about how marijuana was almost legalized in the state of Delaware. So let's go to my desktop screen and I will discuss all the three topics in this video. So this is very good news from New Jersey, as Governor Phil Murphy and the Democrats have finally come to their senses and realized that putting away the sales tax hike was more important than obviously putting selfish needs first. And this governor knew how to put a trick up his sleeve, and it's interesting news how New Jersey avoided a government shutdown for the second straight year in a row. So let's read this article. The governor and his fellow Democrats, who control the state legislature, reached a state budget deal earlier this evening around 6:30 tonight, capping more than 4 months of drama. The deal included to raise taxes on the wealthy and corporations in New Jersey, averted the government shutdown that would have closed state parks and beaches. More importantly, it would have also worried people at Liberty State Park to wonder if the fireworks would have been canceled again for the second straight year in a row. The budget battles forced a 3-day shutdown last year and an 8-day shutdown back in 2006. The talks went right down to the wire as Murphy's administration prepared contingency plans for a closure, which he could have ordered if no budget was in place when the clock went past midnight to start the fiscal year. Alright, so let's just quickly go down to details. Senate and Assembly will vote on the $37.4 million spending plan and new taxes at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. Governor and lawmakers have scrambled to put together alternative tax plans in hopes of reaching a compromise, for weeks they remain far apart on the issue of taxes. As part of the agreement, taxes on income over $5 million will increase from 8.97% to 10.75%, and corporations with net income over $1 million will face a 4-year tax hike. Gross income tax hike will hit more than 1,700 of New Jersey's wealthiest residents and non-resident taxpayers. Corporations will pay a 2.5% surtax this year and next, followed by a 2% hike in the third year, and then 1.5% in the year before phasing out entirely. The deal spares New Jerseyans a 3/8 percentage point increase in the sales tax Murphy had fought for as part of his budget plan, and legislative offers to double the realty transfer fee on high-end home sales to 2% and expand the sales tax to include short-term rentals. Alright, so this is good news from New Jersey. They came to their senses. They realized that not raising the sales tax was, again, a bigger priority than, obviously, I keep it like this, obviously just, putting politics more into play first than thinking to themselves, well, we wanted to make sure that we could raise the sales tax. We want revenue to come into New Jersey. I'm Phil. I do whatever I want. Well, somebody must have convinced this guy not to raise the sales tax, and because of that, at least they came to their senses and realized one thing and one thing only. This was important, and if it didn't get done, millions of people's plans in New Jersey would have had to get canceled tomorrow, thanks to, yet again, greedy people in New Jersey. It happened last year, but thankfully it didn't happen this year. So now that we got the first article out of the way regarding New Jersey's issues, we're going to talk about some news that is being hidden under the radar from Delaware. So the good news coming in from Delaware was that late Thursday night, the State House passed a compromise bill that virtually assured the gaming houses will win tax relief they have been seeking for many years. This is very good news for Delaware. This was approved 35-4. The latest draft for the bill would have lowered the casino's tax burden. Well, it will lower it. Yeah, now it will. $16.8 million by reducing the tax rate on slot revenue by 1 percentage point and cutting the tax rate on table games nearly in half. So this guy right here, I'll show you him. Brian Bushweller from Delaware. He's a state senator from Delaware. Said that the state should provide significant breathing room for the casinos, which collectively employ close to 3,000 people, mostly in Kent County, where Dover Downs Hotel and Casino is, and where the Harrington Casino and Raceway operate. Those businesses have long argued that Delaware's structure was threatening their ability to stay afloat in the face of growing competition from surrounding states. The state of Delaware had hiked the tax rate on casinos 7 times since it legalized slot machines in the mid-1990s. Most notably, the legislature upped the rate on slot machine revenue to 43% in 2009 to help close the state budget gap during the height of the recession. That's nearly double the rate when the industry began. Delaware also collects nearly 30% of all gross revenue generated by table games and another $3 million a year in table gambling license fees. According to the CEO of Dover Downs, Dennis McLinn, if you look at what the industry has generated for Delaware over the years, it's close to $4 billion. We are in partnership with the state along with horse racing industry. And I think this legislation shows lawmakers are grasping that we need all three partners to be healthy. Our financial situation last year shows that's not the case. Dover Downs, the only publicly traded casino in the whole state, reported losses of more than $1 million last year, a deficit that came after the casino paid $75 million to the state and Delaware Standardbred Owners Association. A representative from Smyrna said, "We've overtaxed this industry. We needed it at the time, but we've got to bring it back to where it belongs." So, you got to give credit to Brian Bushweller, this state senator from Dover, who will be retiring at the end of the year. Had been working for a long time to secure this tax break for the casinos. He managed to convince lawmakers 4 years ago to approve a $10 million deal to help the casinos cover their payments to slot machine vendors. 2015, a state panel recommended the legislature pass a tax package valued at $46 million. So they tried this 3 years ago, and it failed. It failed when Markell was the governor. A reversal in the state's own financial fortunes likely was the main reason why this bill was held for passage. Delaware went from closing a nearly $400 million budget gap last year to having $300 million in extra cash this year. Unfortunately, there was some politics involved. Governor John Carney wanted a tax break for $20 million. They had to go with Senator Bushweller's original bill. This bill that Governor John Carney wanted for the $20 million tax cut cleared the Delaware State Senate back in April 17-3, but stalled in the House after encouraging resistance from Delaware House Speaker Peter Schwarzkopf from Rehoboth Beach, who sought to chop the cut in half. So this guy right here, I don't know. Was he negotiating with Bushweller? See, that's a good question. Schwarzkopf. He is a very sketchy guy. I've been keeping an eye on him for a while. Schwarzkopf always gets his way, apparently. His oppositions to Carney's plan seem to be reinforced by the addition of full sports betting casinos earlier this month, thanks to the recent United States Supreme Court decision. The casinos argued sports betting would not be a major moneymaker. Keeping in mind, Schwarzkopf approved the sports betting right after the Supreme Court allowed the sports betting to be legal. Alright, Schwarzkopf finally blinked Thursday by presenting a compromise that reduced the tax cut by $3.6 million next year and then $3.2 million in 2020. That allowed the bill to reach the House floor on the second to last day of the legislative session. Session ended today, June 30th. Mr. Schwarzkopf said we were running out of time, noting that the full tax cut proposal likely had enough votes to pass. $3.6 million. You can't make this stuff up. Thinking about how they were talking about this for many years, trying to benefit the casinos in Delaware, and now the lawmakers in Delaware at least reached a decent compromise, cutting this bill by $3.6 million. And I'm sure John Carney will do the right thing. He will sign this bill sometime before July 4th. So hopefully this bill will be approved and the casinos will, the owners, the employees will smile noticing that there's going to be a bigger paycheck coming. So it's long overdue. I'm finally happy for the casinos in Delaware. They've been begging for years. Politics aside, this had to get done. So the last quick thing I want to bring up is, of course, Delaware almost legalizing marijuana. Here's a story about how Delaware almost legalized weed. I'm not joking. They almost legalized marijuana earlier this week. Here's the story. A bill to legalize marijuana fell 4 votes short in the Delaware House on Wednesday, a year after legislators began debating the measure aiming to tax and regulate the drug. Back in 2017, a legislative committee advanced the proposal, but it never went to the floor for a vote. The bill's sponsor, State Representative Helene Keenly of Wilmington, created a task force to discuss key concerns about the bill and recently amended the legislation to address issues such as impaired driving and distribution. Still, she struggled to assemble enough support back on Wednesday night as 5 fellow Democrats abstained from voting. The bill needed 25 votes, but only garnered 21. 15 lawmakers voted no. Out of the 15 Democrats who voted yes, 20 Democrats voted yes, so 25 Democrats, 20 voted yes. Abstaining were House Speaker Peter Schwarzkopf, who was part of the whole Delaware tax break bill, Earl Jaquetz of Glasgow, Melanie Smith of Bear Newark, Stephanie Bolden of Wilmington, and William Carson of Smyrna. 16 Republicans in the House all voted no, except Jeff Spiegelman of Clayton, who voted yes. If the bill had passed, it would have moved the Senate for its consideration, but obviously it didn't look like things were going to go Miss Keenly's way. Oh, boy. Controversial Delaware, huh? So, 4 votes short, huh? I don't know how they were... What was the number again? I just want to clarify it. There were 15 lawmakers. Let's see. Abstaining were, 1, 2, 3, for, yeah, so 5 Democrats did not vote. So this is interesting. And yet 15 Republicans in the House in Delaware decided, no, we're not going to legalize this. And one Republican actually voted yes, shockingly. So, yeah, that's the news that I wanted to talk to you all about. That's going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. And until the next one, take care.